Greetings, good morning, good day, good evening. Welcome to this practice session that is a positive intelligence session. And today we're going to be looking at one of the five sage powers. Sage powers. We are here to focus on how to reintegrate our true powers. Due to socialization, conditioning, and a whole lot of other factors, we do tend to have a negativity bias. We tend to limit the way we experience things through judgment. When we look at things or meet any encounter with this bad or indifferent or good attitude, so we're looking to label something like a judge. The judge is the chief saboteur that gets in the way of us living our full potential, living authentically, living our values, doing the things that serve our own best interests so we can be a contribution in the world, so that we can actually thrive, prosper, experience well-being in work, in energy, in terms of health, sleep well, feel vitality, in love, in any relationship, and in learning. We witness the disruption of the judge most in this area of love, in relating to people, be it strangers or intimates. And it seems to wreak the greatest havoc the closer the people are to us, where it matters most to create nurturing, mutual, reciprocal relationships. The work for us to do is to become aware of this judge that is the chief or head honcho saboteur and its nine accomplices. The judge in different archetypes, personas, attitudes. For example, an avoider or a high achiever or a high rationale or a high helper or restlessness. So these are the different accomplices or saboteurs. Not to say that being a helper or a high achiever, etc., again, we're not going right or wrong, good or bad. It's where it doesn't serve us. So we're looking at, instead of measuring to make a moral conclusion, somebody's bad, good, evil, we are looking to see for intensity. When we bring too much intensity of the achiever or the restless energy or the helper, too much or too little, depending on on the situation, then we are self-limiting, we are sabotaging. It's a judge that's making the choice for us. It's this conditioning. It's a trance. It's a pattern of behavior informed by the past. It is not a deliberate or determined decision that is referencing one's values, for example. So that would not serve us. So this is why it helps to become aware of the sage. And you can say that when we bring any of these elements or components or ways of being in a healthy way, what Aristotle called the virtuous mean, it actually does serve us. Most of us lean towards one to the most extreme level. For example, use too much of one of them. For example, there's a lot of restlessness that is basically is the one major challenge every day, most of the day. You obviously would get people who underuse it in that they become very passive, this inertia. And then they have other coping skills, which means that they overcompensate, perhaps as wanting to control everyone and everything. If somebody has low agency, then they use all their energy, maybe even pretending to be a helper and then getting resentful, but it's to be the controller, to control somebody they now want to own, because that is the person they're going to use to get things done for them. Today, we're going to focus on when we identify. So we notice and name the judge. So you notice, okay, the judge. And then we might want to bring a nuance to that, noting, there's my restless one. The restless one is saying that I can't stop and take a rest. The restless one is saying that one more hour would make me more acceptable, one more hour of pushing and negating all the hours I've put in already. So that is an example. We're going to look at the powers, and the first power today we're going to focus on is empathy. And to do that, I would like to share a slide based on the notes from the book Positive Intelligence by Shirzad Shamin. There we go. Empathize. When we look at each power, we're going to look at when it is needed. So when it can be helpful to tap into empathy, what gets in the way? So, for example, which of our saboteurs is saying what? And this can vary on the situation. In work, maybe it's a different saboteur to the one that gets in the way in love. And then we will look at a power tool or a power game to help us and to bring more empathy to ourselves and to others. And then we will look at an inquiry where we will journal together and do some PQ reps before our journaling, where we will sit and go into embodied awareness practice. The inquiry is an authentic generative practice that you might be aware of or have come across in the insight meditation traditions, where one has some kind of, you meditate to connect with that inner wisdom, the sage, for insight into how to move forward or how to be with something. When is empathy needed? Empathizing is about feeling and showing appreciation, compassion, and forgiveness. This is what I call love. It's the different ways we bring love to a situation, to another person, and to ourselves. And empathy has two targets. There we go, yourself and others. Both are important. Deeper empathy for yourself typically makes it possible to have deeper empathy for others. For most people, having true empathy for oneself is the hardest thing to do. Why? Why is it so hard for us to have compassion and appreciation for ourselves, to give ourselves credit, to value and validate ourselves in a way that is authentic, not as a victim, but in a way that, I'm trying, this is difficult for me, or this hurts, or I really want this, Why? You guessed it, the judge's pervasive interference. The judge, persistent and pervasive in its interference, gets in the way of us showing empathy to ourselves and to others. And this makes an excellent bridge for the next slide. Let's do this. I'm going to make it a presentation. When is empathy needed? We did that. We did empathy recharges. So we're still on when it's needed. and we're bridging to what gets in the way. Empathy recharges our batteries and renews the vitality that is drained by the judge's violence towards ourselves. It bandages the wounds of the warrior before sending him out for another fight. It is most useful when the recipient of the empathy, whether you or someone else, is feeling some emotional pain and difficulty. Think of empathy as the power you should use when the emotional reserve is running low, when the person needs some recharging before moving on with problem solving action. So you might, for example, do your sitting, your PQs, your meditation, your insight meditation, some embodied awareness. You become aware of this feeling that something feels difficult. Then you bring empathy to help you to follow the insight and allow the insight to inform implementation, your action. Sitting, I realize, okay, I need to work out. This got in the way, that got in the way, and this is how I'm getting in my own way. Then I give myself empathy. This feels hard. And then I bring in the power game to give me support for that, how I feel, so that it energizes and repowers me so that I can now go to my workout. So it works, as you can see, would make an excellent transition tool from one activity to another. If you've just come indoors from outside, or you've got to the gym, somebody bullied you, somebody that's jealous, or there's envy, then you bring in your empathy power game, power tool, power practice. It's like putting a salve on a wound. It's a healing through love. Seeing yourself, sensing yourself, soothing yourself, supporting yourself. And then you can get to your workout. What gets in the way? So even when we know to do this, what gets in the way, or why would we not want to show ourselves kindness? What are these thoughts? What are the emotions? What are the assumptions? What difficulty? So many of us grow up with our judge telling us that empathizing with ourselves is counterproductive. You need to be tough on yourself, says the judge. But denying yourself empathy is not a sign of strength, as the judge would have you believe. It's setting yourself up for constant beating. Empathizing with pain does not mean condoning the action that brought the pain about. So if somebody bullied you and that created the pain, we're not saying what they did is right when we give ourselves empathy. Well, we made a mistake. Maybe we ate one slice too many of pie. So we're not saying that it's right to do that when we then say, I'm sorry for the guilt you're feeling, or the shame you're feeling, or the disappointment you're feeling. So we're not saying, hey, good on you for eating that pie, right? So when we can be present with empathy, it becomes easier for us to add more empathy by forgiving ourselves and others. And then we are re-energized to see, okay, what can I do to help myself? So if your child plays, for example, right, and falls and gets injured, plays in a place where you said, don't play there, it's dangerous. What would you do? You would first get a cast on that leg if they've injured their leg, and you will empathize with the pain. After the pain is subsided, you would have a conversation about lessons learned and how to avoid or prevent the same mistake in the future. So let's see what we can learn from this mistake. Not, I told you so, you bad, you shouldn't have, whatever. So empathizing. The power game is to visualize the child. I call this other things It can be compassion for the child, consider the child, calming the child, connecting with the child. It's anything that symbolizes connecting with the archetype or the image or the visual of the qualities of a child, the innocence and purity, the child before they were harmed by socialization and conditioning. So, due to the fact that at this age, let's say 5, 3, child's age, right? A child still mainly radiates with his or her sage essence energy. The off putting saboteurs that make us less likable as adults are not yet as visible. You can use this fact to shift your brain to feel empathy and caring for yourself or others. So visualize yourself as a child in a setting where your essence is shining through. We can do some PQs for a second. To make yourself comfortable. If you're sitting, you can sit upright. If you're lying down or anything else, walking, this is a light meditation, so you're still okay. Whether you are walking, sitting, or lying down, eyes open, closed, half masked as you wish. And if you can direct your attention to your breathing, to your exhale. And you inhale, and when you exhale, you can pay attention to your chest. And when you inhale, the rise, and exhale, the fall of your chest. So let's sit for 3 reps, focusing on the rise and fall of our chest. As we inhale and exhale. And exhale fully. And inhale deep into our diaphragm. And exhale. And you might, if your eyes were closed, start opening it, and then looking around you, becoming aware of other sensory experiences. And now visualize yourself as a child in a setting where your essence is shining through. Remember when you were a child, somewhere where witnessing it now, you are willing to see your innocence, your beauty, your loving kindness, your generosity, your love, anything that feels like deep in play or reading, immersed in something, in fascination or awe or joy. Perhaps you're holding a puppy, building a sandcastle, chasing a bunny, or snuggling with your teddy bear or someone you love. And notice how that makes you feel. And that is one way to bring empathy to a situation. And now you can pause the video if you need more time to do that. And if you want to journal about that specific experience. And now for our final inquiry. So that was an embodied awareness practice, and we used imagination to enrich it and expand our awareness and our felt sense. And now we're going to use empathy in work or energy to help you with food choices, working out, getting your sleep habits more aligned, to be renewing in love, so in a relationship with yourself or others, in learning, maybe you following a structured course of learning, even this if it's a course for you, or you're learning some other lessons like mastering emotions or bringing the sage in more often. So even this learning is a learning experience. Learning to sit, learning to Bring your senses in, learning to ask questions. So you got your pen, paper, we'll do some journaling. What is one area of your work or life? So choose an area of life where you could use some savior's self, some empathy, some mindful compassion, with an understanding that, this is a human thing. All humans find these things difficult in some way, some shape or form. We all struggle to show ourselves compassion. We all have difficult emotions. Now, play the conscious of the child game. See, I've got an asterisk because it includes celebrating the child by imagining the child in you or another, allowing yourself to tap into a felt sense of resonance and responsibility. Then express your support in a way you feel inspired to now. So when you think of that situation, so I'm going to put energy because I need to work out after this. And now I can picture that child. So I'll take a moment, picture me as a child, or just the presence of a child, or I can have a photo of me as a child, or even a photo of one of my kids. That's what's in my sight of line of vision now. When they were innocent and they said those sweet things. Mom, you're the best, my favorite mother in the whole world. Right? And you are my sunshine, Mommy. So I can picture that and I can feel it. I can feel the shift. And resonating this way, thinking of this workout that I'm tug of war about getting to, this trepidation about how I'm going to measure it, and then I'm not going to measure up because I have a habit of measuring in a way that doesn't give me credit. So then I take a breath. What am I inspired to offer myself? If it was that loving child, can you imagine those little hands around your neck, or that hug, or some calming word, or Mommy, it's going to be okay, right? So offer yourself that. You may feel inspired to rub your fingers together, to feel a little hug or stroke, hand on the heart, or just a smile. Whatever you're inspired to do, it might even be, doesn't look like empathy for others, but a yawn and a stretch, and it's empathy because you're seeing yourself and you're giving yourself something you need. You are feeling a bit constricted, and now you're opening and you're allowing yourself to go with that. So thank you for your practice. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And here we are. So think of that area in your life, work, energy, love, learning, where you can be hard on yourself, or where there's a struggle, or there's just been some incident where kindness to yourself or to others or to both can be useful. And picture that child and allow yourself to go into that shift in energy as you move towards, if there is action needed, or whatever action you need to take next. It might be unrelated. Maybe you need to go prepare your next meal, or go for a walk, or get to some email. So whatever it is, this is the work that we're doing. Thank you for your practice. May you stay well and safe, and may you continue to prosper from your practice. I will see you in the next session you go to. And if we were doing it more or less in the order of the book, that one will be Explore, the explorer, like you have the fascinating anthropologist. Thank you very much.